Hello, I'm Becky Wilson, the Title III Part A specialist here at the Alabama State Department of Education. Today, I will be walking you through the process of reviewing and certifying the immigrant students data tile in the AIM portal. Now, once we are signed in to the AIM portal, your screen will look something like this. Now, of course, everybody's dashboard is a little different because it's set to your personal preferences, but generally speaking, this is what your dashboard will look like. Best practice before certifying and submitting data tiles is to check your LEA student data for warnings and errors. To do this, you will want to find the official state collections tile on your dashboard and open. While we're waiting for this tile to open, for training purposes, we're using a staged or test account, which is indicated by the yellow stripe running across the top of my tile. This account is set up for Fort Payne City Schools, so this is the LEA information that you will see throughout this recording. Once this tile is open, you will come over to our drop-down menus. You'll select the school year, select your system, and then select the school. You may select individual schools from the drop-down menu, or if you would like to see all schools at one time within your system, you will look for the 40 school code, which would be all the schools in that district. I'm going to go ahead and make that selection. Now, in the collection menu, you will want to select the 9th month option, which is the end of the school year. While we're not exactly at the very end of the school year, the 9th month collection option will reflect the most recent data collection. The information for this collection option is updated nightly. Now, I'm not going to make a selection here because it will display personally identifiable student information. Across the top, you want to hover over the Attendance tab, and you will select Attendance Collection Errors. Again, I am not clicking on this option as it will also display individual student information. Instead, I'm going to switch over to a screenshot with personally identifiable student data redacted in order to show you what this could look like for your LEA. Okay, so here's my screenshot for our test system showing the different errors and warnings. And when we look across here, we can see all of the different column information. Here's our redacted identifiable student information. And we can come over to this column and see if we have any data errors or warnings. Now, warnings are not an automatic indicator that there's an error, but it's certainly something that you might want to go in and take a look at to make sure that it's not skewing your data in some way. When we look over here at the error type, this is going to give us the information on what triggered that warning or that error. Now, our very first student shows an error, and this would be relevant to the data tile that we are looking at today because it shows that this is an immigrant student that is missing their country of origin in PowerSchool. So errors must be corrected before you submit data. While it is recommended that LEAs review data at least quarterly, it is imperative that data be reviewed and any changes are completed before the PowerSchool end of year deadline, which is typically the third Friday in June. It is also important to note that changes to student data cannot be made in the different data tiles. All changes must be made directly in PowerSchool. Once you have made these changes in PowerSchool, please allow upwards of 24 to 48 hours for updates to populate in the data tiles, although some may appear as quickly as overnight. Returning to our AIM dashboard, in addition to the immigrant students tile, you will also need access to the information from the student data tile so that you can compare the data to ensure that it matches the information from the immigrant students tile. So once we have the student data tile open, you want to navigate across the top to Federal Programs and select Immigrant from the drop-down menu. I find it easier to compare the data between the two tiles if I have them both open as a split screen, but you can also certainly use a screenshot of one tile to compare the data to the other if you prefer. At this time, I'm going to switch over to a split screen view. So here's my split screen view. You can see on the left side of my screen, I have my immigrant students data tile open, and on the right side of my screen, I have our student data tile open with our federal program immigrant student data. And I've highlighted the data that we want to compare between the two tiles. First, we want to look under student status, got it highlighted in green. And in this column, we're going to see all of the different designations within those students that have been identified in PowerSchool as immigrant students. Um, we can see that we have 133 students marked as immigrant. If we come over and look at the corresponding student data section in our student data tile, you'll see that this number matches. I have them both circled in purple. We can also verify this information by looking at the grade level breakdown of our immigrant student count. You can see at the bottom we have our total of 133 in our immigrant student tile, and we have matching information in our student data tile. We can also confirm the numbers by looking at each individual grade level. Now, this data should be an exact match. If for some reason it is not an exact match, you will need to contact your LEA's PowerSchool administrator for assistance, as this information should be pulling directly from PowerSchool. Once we have verified that the data matches between our two data tiles, we can close out of the student data tile and return to our immigrant students tile. Now, if you scroll to the bottom of the tile, you will see uh, immigrant students, student data section, and you can continue to review data here, um, and tend to any errors that you may have. Once an LEA has completed the data review and corrected any known errors, it's time to complete the certification process of the immigrant students data tile. You will see the certification area here in the middle of the screen. You will want to read the certification statement. You need to click the box to attest that you are certifying to the best of your knowledge. You'll see down here the certification information. You'll see that the status is open and what the certification period says. You can see that it will close for our test purposes tomorrow on the 11th. Once you have read the statement and clicked the box, you will come over to Certify Immigrant Students. This is going to prompt a pop-up, and it's going to ask if you are sure that you want to certify and submit your data for this selected school year. If you are, you'll click OK. If you would like to go back and continue to work on immigrant student data, you would click on Cancel and you'll return back to the immigrant students tile. For training purposes, we're going to say that we have checked everything, we've corrected any errors, and we are ready to certify our data, so we will click OK. You'll see the progress box, and then you'll get confirmation that the LEA has certified the data, when it was certified, and who the certifier in your system is. You'll also be able to see this box will change because it comes to us at the State Department. We will review through your submission and determine whether we're going to accept it or if it needs to be returned to the LEA, and that information will be populated in these boxes. This completes our training on reviewing and certifying the Immigrant Students Data Tile in the AIM portal. If you have any questions about certifying the Immigrant Students Data Tile or need additional assistance, please contact me using the information on the screen. Thank you.